we're going to work with the a couple things. One of the reasons I kind of started with that that particular "I Am Light," that song, is because I think there's this inside of us that I think we sometimes tend to not connect to, and I want you to connect to it. And in a way that you can realize, like from the inside out, instead of always from, you know, the larger muscle groups and the larger outer body, that you begin to continue to kind of find these places inside of you that aren't just about, you know, like the places of, you know, the soul place, but also more the inside, fascial wrappings, linings, all of that place. How do I open that and connect that to the rest of me? And so when we began this morning, well, we're going to start in a reclined, the honey drip kind of upper back opener, and then we're going to go from there. But we're going to drop back to the pelvis, remembering that we are finding where's the core of the pelvis, not like your abdominal core, which comes all the way up the front of the spine, but from the center of the pelvis, right in the middle. Where is that core on you? Where's the center of the pelvis between the inlet of the pelvis and the outlet, above the pelvic floor, up from the perineum, we could call the core of the pelvis. And then we're going to be reaching from that area of the tailbone, side of the sacrum, to the sit bone, to the perineum. So if you kind of put your felt sense in that sort of a smaller area, so sometimes you'll reach, you know, from that area towards the core, from that back area, that triangle, perineum, sit bone, tail, up to your core. I'm just love feeling that in my own body, because it helps me to spread, I could say, the light, or I could say to really feel how it supports me in movement. As well, sometimes the other part of that is going to be from your pubic bone to the sit bone. So, you know, I mean, the sit bone is not a small area. Pubic bone to sit bone to the perineum and to the core. Those are the kind of two territories that we're going to keep playing with. Yeah. All right. And of course, if you have questions, you can always ask them. And yeah, and if the mind comes in and the mind starts to try to mentally figure it out, then I'm just going to invite you to try not to figure this out from the mental place. Put your felt sense and your awareness in these places. Allow that awareness to continue to steep and deepen. Your ability to connect to these places are not intellectual always. They're simply putting your presence there and taking the action, right? So sometimes we just try to get a little too mental. Does anybody do that?
Yeah.
Many of you go, oh, let me intellectualize this thing. I got to figure it out before I can do it. Well, luckily you don't. and we just so often get in our own way. So many times when we intellectualize about stuff, it's kind of like you're in a conversation with somebody and you're already trying to figure out your response, and you haven't even completely listened to where they're coming from, right? you're already, oh my gosh, you're already having a whole little dialogue. And if that dialogue is happening, then, you know, are we interrupting the process of listening? So part of it, I think, nurtures that piece. It's kind of like somebody's telling you something, and I mean, I do this, right? I'm already have a whole little, man, you're da da da. But I really want to allow them to say what they need to say, to rest back into my sit bones, my listening, right? So I don't have to lean into them. I can rest back. So anyway, you can take the practice and do whatever you want with it. Those are just some ideas. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll take a comfortable seat and we'll start. I'm really looking forward to the practice. After I practiced this morning, but I'm really excited about practicing again. I rode my bike 190 miles this weekend. So I'm excited to be doing more practice. So I rode out to the beach and back from the beach. So that was fun. A lot of elevation.
Impressive.
What's that?
That's impressive for someone who just goes around the block on a bike.
It was exciting. I didn't know it was going to be 100 miles out there, but we had to do a detour. So
wow, congratulations.
yeah. Always have a little headwind at the end. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let's take a seat. Let's take a seat together, Diego. We'll spotlight this. Great. So you can sit however you want, whatever is a comfortable way of sitting this morning. Just go ahead and take your seat. Connect to the support beneath you, all the way to the earth. Lengthen yourself all the way up towards the sky. You're always welcome to then drop the chin slightly and come into the presence of your breath. And I just invite you to either practice the balanced inhale and exhale, or a Ujjayi breath with this practice. Ujjayi, which is called like a victorious breath. You know, or we could also, it is a breath of cohesion. So the breath that connects. At the bottom of your next exhale, you can release any control on your breath. And join your hands together in front of your heart. So I'll open the practice. Join me in chanting the sound of Om. The vibration of sound moving through the central channel of your body, from the root chakra to the throat. And we'll sing Loka Samasta, Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings in all realms find peace and happiness. Take a deep inhale. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. And with your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart. Release your hands and lift your gaze. All right, so I said I'm going to start just with the upper back opener. And so you're going to want 1 or 2 blankets for this. So if I take one of my blankets and I'm going to fold it lengthwise. And then I'm going to take a second blanket, fold it the same, and then when I put it on top of that one, I'm going to it's going to be hanging over just, I don't know, a few inches, probably about 3 inches over the top, because when I lie back, it's just going to give a little bit of a ramp. And then you'll sit on those blankets. Make sure there's room for your arms to come out to the sides. And then you're going to start to inch your way. I want you, when you come back, that you can find the spine of the scapula. Remember where the spine of the scapula is? That the spine of the scapula just begins to touch the floor. So knees are bent, feet on the ground. And once you drop down here, once you're in your pose, please drop back into your Ujjayi breathing. And once you're there, make your breath smooth. If you need, the reason I said 1 or 2 blankets is because I don't want the chin to be higher than the forehead. So if the chin is higher than the forehead, then you might want to go down to one blanket, or you could add a tiny lift just under the back of the head, but not the shoulders. So with your next full inhale, just bring your attention to how the rib cage is moving with your breath. Let's have the breath be in the rib cage, not the belly right now, not belly breathing, but feeling the lungs expand. They might be expanding from the bottom up. See if you can feel that with the inhale. The lungs expanding, like the lower third, the middle third, and the upper third. See if you can bring the inhale all the way to be expanding in those three places. Like you'll feel, where does that breath radiate from? And what happens on the exhale? You're going to take, probably 2 or 3 more breaths here. And again, the lower third, you'll feel the breath in the lower ribs. The middle third of your breath, can you feel that expansion? And the upper third, can you feel the lungs expanding in the upper part of the lungs, all the way to the top? Do you feel it at all above your collarbones? So not rushing it. Kind of like when you're listening and you know you're going to respond, but trying not to rush the response. All right. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, go ahead and roll yourself over to one side. Use your arms, push yourself up. You'll come onto all four. We're going to go to cat and cow. So whatever, if that's on all fours, or for some of you that might be sitting and doing cat and cow from a sitting position. But when you're ready to do that, stay connected to your breath. You know the pose, cat and cow, so can you still practice it with that same awareness? And do you hear your Ujjayi breath? That sound with the inner ear, like when you put a seashell up to the ear and you hear the sound deep inside.
You'll do one more cat, and then a table. And then, if you're going to puppy pose, you can go ahead and walk your hands forward. If you're more interested in doing downward dog pose, then I would take a couple of those blankets and put them behind you so that you can root your heels into the blankets. So you're either going puppy or downward facing dog. I'm elevating my heels so I can connect. So I can connect my heels to something, or at least through the full shape of the heels. And if I'm in puppy or downward dog, I'm still lengthening through my outer shoulder blades to my upper arms, all the way into my hands. And whether I'm in puppy or downward dog, from the tailbone to the sit bone to the perineum, I'm going to lengthen all the way to the core of the pelvis with vigor, with strength. And see, when I do that, what happens to the spine. All right. And then on the next exhale, if you're in downward facing dog, go ahead and bring the knees to the ground. I'm going to move my blankets out of the way if I was using those. And then we're headed towards cobra. So come down onto your belly. Slide the hands back so the palms are on the ground, back by the side ribs. You might have, the forehead down. So inhale deeply. And then you're going to connect from the sit bone, tailbone to the core. That's where you're going to lengthen from. So take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, begin to lengthen from there all the way up to your cobra. With your exhale, lower. Inhale while you're down. Exhale, cobra. Don't have to go really high. Lowering down. And take one more cobra pose. See if you feel the inner thighs toning with this. Good, that looks good, Lisa. I like the head position, excellent. Great, and then release. And then go ahead and press up and back to all fours and back to child's pose. Even in child's pose, can you still hear those words if you heard the music right before class where she's singing, I am light, I am light. And then go ahead, walk yourself back up. And again, back to child's pose or downward facing dog. Not child's pose, puppy pose or downward dog. You might want the blocks at the top of the mat. You don't have the blankets right now. So you could, if you're going to go to dog, you could go up with your hands on your blocks. Or you could have hands on the ground. So whether it's puppy or downward dog, again, what happens when you go from the tailbone to the sit bone, perineum to the core of the pelvis. Take another deep breath in, and then with your next exhale, let's step your right foot forward. So, on the back leg, you bring your felt sense again, sit bone, inner sit bone, tailbone, the perineum, there's that. And then begin to reach that towards the core of the pelvis. Lighten your hands and come into an upright lunge. And from the core of the pelvis, reach down to that space between pubic bone, inner left sit bone. From that core, from the core back to the pubic bone, inner left sit bone, perineum. Inhale the arms out. Exhale, bow forward, step back. Inhale deeply. Exhale, let's step the left foot forward. So before we ever take our hands, your hands away from your blocks, from the right inner sit bone, the right inner tailbone, perineum, towards the core of the pelvis. Then from that core, can you reach back down towards the right inner pubic bone and the other part of the right sit bone, perineum. And when you're ready, come up. Inhale the arms out. Exhale, bow forward. Keep reaching, keep that strength. Great. And then we'll step forward. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, upright. And exhale your hands back in front of your heart. All right, let's take a wide stance on your mat. Inhale the arms, let's take them wide. Let's turn your left foot out, right foot in. And take warrior two. Relax the back arm. Inhale, lift your front arm. Exhale, warrior two. Straighten the front leg, relax the arms, spin the feet the other way. Inhale the arms out. Exhale, warrior two. How does that light that you know you are move through you? How does it move through the legs? How does it connect to the center? And when you're ready, relax the back arm. Inhale, upright. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, relax both arms. Make the feet parallel. Let's step them back together. Relax your arms. Inhale, lift your arms.
Exhale your hands back in front of your heart. Step the feet wide again. Left foot out, right heel back. And we're gonna go to side angle, so we better have some props. Inhale the arms out. Exhale, side angle, Parsvakonasana. And if you heard her at the beginning again, can you feel that? Can you feel that light in you? You feel the light in you. Good, and you're always, watch the awareness of the left knee, Ingrid. So you just wanna, use your prop over there. Take your left knee towards your left elbow. Sherry, I think you could go a little longer. Just a little, just check it out. Let's see. Good. Great. Opening the space at the outer, the skyward side of your body. Just letting that find more light, especially at the lower right ribs. And the breath from the inside. And your next inhale, you rise. Now we take the second side. When you're ready, inhale the arms. Exhale, side angle. Are you still using your Ujjayi breathing? And can you bring the Ujjayi breath in? And once you do, what changes? And with the next inhale, come back up to standing. And we'll exhale, let's step the feet together. Inhale, lift both of your arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands back in front of the heart. Release your arms. All right, a blanket. A blanket to cushion the back knee. So maybe, maybe one blanket's enough, but, maybe two is better. Depends on your needs, right? I don't know. I'm going to go for two today. I'm going to go for the extra cushion today. All right. So let's come down and we'll take left foot forward. So we're in the lunge with the back knee down. And even with my hands forward, my hands on my blocks, can you drop back into that space? Can you put your felt sense in the tissue that is between your right sit bone, your right tail, the perineum, and up to the core? And can you lengthen towards the core? And what happens? What do what's the urge of that, like lifting? And then if you go to the core of the pelvis and start to lengthen towards that tissue between perineum, right pubic bone, right inner sit bone. You might slide the blocks back. Can you do those at the same time on the back leg? Can you do it at the same time, the two directions? And what happens? Can you take the right arm and add the right arm? Because notice when you add the right arm, boy, you really need the length. Because if you don't, you might feel some weight fall into the lumbar spine. And then lower the right arm. We'll move the blocks forward. Take the left foot back. And the right foot forward. Okay, so, right knee is in front of the right ankle. And once again, I'm going to start to drop my awareness into the space between left tailbone, left sit bone, perineum. And what happens when I lengthen towards the core, the center of my pelvis? And from the center of your pelvis, what happens when you reach to the space between the left pubic bone, left inner sit bone, perineum? And that might be plenty. That might be enough for you. That might be just great. Or you might slide your blocks back. Can you engage both of these at the same time? Both directions. All at once. And maybe add the arm. Adding the arm adds a whole nother, like, oh my gosh, did I lose it? Did I lose one of my engagements there? And then we'll exhale, release. And let's take either puppy or downward facing dog. Deep breathing, Ujjayi breathing. Very good. And then go ahead and walk your hands towards your feet. And then you can, if your blankets are there, you can move them out of the way. Hands to the hips, come up to standing. Okay. And let's take a twist, but let's take the wide-legged forward fold, and we're going to add the twist in that. So we might need our blocks out in front. We'll take hands on the hips. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, begin to bow forward. Hands find your blocks or the ground. And let's take it so that the wrists are under the shoulders, not the fingers, but the wrists. So we've got a long spine. And we'll start with the right hand. So if your hands are on blocks now, I'd encourage you to use the blocks again. I mean, the blocks are great. So let's take right hand on the block and left hand on the hip. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, begin to turn. Exhale, bow, back down towards the ground. Let's switch your hands. Left hand on the hip, right hand on the hip as you inhale, lengthen the spine forward, and exhale, begin to turn. Can you turn the upper right lung? Can you lift the upper right lung?
And let's exhale, come back to center. Let's reach the arms out, downward dog arms. And the little mantra is, I am light. For, I think most of us in this, we're lengthening from that place of inner sit bone, inner tailbone, perineum to core. For most of us, that's the direction we're going. Go a little wider, Elizabeth, with your feet. Yeah, I don't know, Katie, you might try a little wider with the feet. See if that, and see what your, what your research shows you. And I bet, Colleen, you might go a little narrower with your feet. Narrow them in and make them parallel, and then balance the weight, everyone, between the heel and the ball. Balance the weight between the heel and the ball. Because sometimes when we come forward, our weight shifts more to the ball of the foot. So how do you balance the weight between the heel and the ball? Great, great, beautiful. Okay, walk the hands back. Let's shift them up to the hips and step the feet back together. Are there any questions before we head to Warrior One? Everybody ready? If there's a question, you can unmute and ask me. Yeah.
Is the back straight in that pose?
Yes.
Not folded over?
That's right. With downward dog arms.
Yeah.
With downward dog arms, we want the spine to find as much length as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, and that's good, right, Katie? Because if we're just doing a wide-legged forward fold and we're dropping the spine forward and letting the hands come back, then we are turning more in. So then the spine does not need to be straight. Some people will have the flexibility to have a pretty long spine, but many of us, the spine will just be folding in. So yes, those are different. You're right in that, yeah. Any other questions before we head towards Warrior One? Okay, so let's go to the top of the mat. And I'm hoping you're getting some connection to that territory. So in Warrior One, I'll try not to chop off my head anymore. Not that it matters, you all. Okay, so let's step the right foot back. Right foot back. And we have the back foot slightly turned out, front foot is straight ahead. What's interesting to me is I still, every time I step back to do Warrior One, I always realize once I'm in the pose that I didn't make my enough length in my body. So it never fails that I step back and then I go, oh, I got to inch my front foot forward. All righty. So let's inhale, lift both arms. Okay, and exhale as you bring the left shin forward. Begin also lengthening from on the back leg, sit bone, tailbone, perineum, all the way up to the core. And then we're going to inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, step forward. So does it make sense that there's two directions though, even on the back leg? So if you only get one of them, that's great too. That's great. And you might go, gosh, where is that sit bone? Sit bone, tailbone, perineum up to the core. Okay, back leg, left leg back. Both legs straight to start. Pelvis is pointing forward. Inhale, lift your arms. And exhale, bringing the front shin forward. So notice what happens when you're doing that reach from that left inner sit bone, tailbone, perineum to core, and the other direction. From the core back to the pubic bone and inner sit bone. Deep breathing. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Great. Yeah. Do you feel the light? Remember, you are light. How is it moving? How does it move through you? And then with your next inhale, step forward. Great. Release both arms and take mountain pose. We know we are the dense muscle and bone body. Well, we also know we are more than that, much more. Okay, so we're gonna go, let's take half moon. Let's play with half moon in this a little bit. So you have the option. I really do enjoy going from Tadasana to half moon. But if you don't want to do that, that is completely okay. If you'd rather, so you really have the option here of one, either starting from both hands on blocks, lifting, lengthening, turning. If that is the way you want to go, you could do that. Otherwise, if you want to play a little bit more with the transition, let's stand on your right leg first. And that I do that because of an inherent asymmetry in the body that we're gonna, second side will be on the left leg first. All right, so if you're gonna start from Tadasana, you're facing your blocks. And you just step the left foot back a little, inhale deeply. Exhale, pick up the back leg. We can take left hand on the hip. Reach into the standing leg. And reach out the lifted leg. On the lifted leg, I'm going to experiment. I'm going to go from the core to toward that tissue between the sit bone, the tail, and the perineum. And from the pubic bone, inner sit bone, back up. This is on the lifted leg. And then we'll inhale, come up. And I do want to give you the chance to ask a question if there's a question before you go to your second side. All right, ready for the second side. So it'll be the left leg you'll be standing on. So if you're going from Tadasana,
Lynn?
yeah.
When I get my leg up, and that's when I lose the balance. When I start to turn, I start to go over.
So when you're transitioning from the Tadasana to and lifting the leg up?
Once I get my leg up and I start to do the turn, that's when I
That's when you're losing your balance. So you're gonna wanna really reach into the standing leg. Keep reaching into the standing leg. So that in that transition, yeah, it's tricky. It definitely is tricky. So you're gonna pick up the back leg.
that is a challenge. There's no doubt. It's really asking a lot, but just if you keep on working it, I think it'll get better.
Okay.
It was really hard for me when I started doing that. I could not get it. Like, so just keep trying and really reach through the standing leg, Lise, and the leg is straight. So the knee is straight, not locked, but straight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lise. I'm sure other people are having a similar experience. So when you take your time, you're going to your second side. And so the left foot is a standing foot. You can have the right toes back. And you begin by starting to lift the back leg. Don't even think of turning. Just start picking up the back leg and coming forward. Don't think about turning or stacking. Exact. There you go. Yeah. Cool. The turn is really, it happens. It really happens with the reaching, right? With the reach into the standing leg and the lengthening out the lifted leg. Yes. Take your time, enjoy your pose. Left leg straight. I don't know, Sherry might just really confirm your left knee is straight. Yeah. Lisa, that looks great. Just feel that. That is remarkable. Good. Take your time, everyone. And when you're ready, make your transition back up, which is another balancing move for sure, to come back all the way up to standing. Yeah. Did that go better, Lise? The transition down looked really great.
Yeah, it's also about the foot that's standing, keeping that so you're not going forward on your toes, I think.
Yep. And that you're not worrying about the turn. You're not worried about turning.
Right.
That whole piece is going to happen. Beautiful, everyone. Okay, let's take a wide-legged forward fold. This time we'll take feet are parallel, hands on the hips, lift through the top of the breastbone so that you feel that lift and the bowing forward. Hands come down to blocks or the ground. And this time we're taking the other version, like Katie was talking about. In this version, we're still going to let the sit bones broaden on most of us. And we're walking the hands back to wherever works for our shape, the length of our hamstrings. And we can release the lungs. They can turn inward. The heart turns in. And it's like a very humble bow, releasing the head and the neck. All right. And then walk your hands out. So you're in that forward fold, walk your hands out. And just hands are on the ground, and you're just gonna make a little hop, the feet together, and then the knees come down to the ground. All right. I want to take a revolved Janu Shasana. So we'll take a blanket. And I like making it into more of a square than the long lengthwise, so that I can sit on that point. If I know that my pelvis doesn't like to tilt anteriorly, I can always add a second blanket to that. And when I sit right now, let's take, we'll take your right leg out and bend your left knee. So if you need to put a blanket under the left knee to take up that space. I noticed a real difference today, like, whoa. I do want to take the legs, if my hips let them go in this more oblique, open way, I'm going to take them that way. All right, great. Okay, so let's begin. Let's go. Let's take the left arm out and start to walk. I'm going to take my left hand to the hip, walk the right hand out to the inner straight leg. And then I like to take my arm, thumb up, the back arm, and bring it around, similar to side angle, alongside in my ear or my cheek. And then from the left sit bone area, let that become lighter. Let there be more levity, like the biscuit in the oven, it rises. Let the sit bone of the bent knee side take less weight. And on the back leg, I am exploring from the inner sit bone, inner tail to the core of the pelvis on the back leg. What did you discover when you did that? Where did you find more length? Did something happen through the side body? And the reason I don't want to hold that hip down, I want to create length through the whole side, even including the outer glute and the hip of that bent knee side. And then inhale, come back up. And we're going to go to the second side. I mean, one of the things I was reminded of, again, this morning, especially after spending so much time sitting on my bicycle the past 2 days, 6-7 hours each day, pedal, 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 is that, like, when I sat down to do yoga this morning, I was reminded again of, like, everything needs to slide and glide. Things need to slip and slide across and past each other. That's where we get stiff, is because surfaces are, adhering. They're not able to glide. And when they stay stiff like that and we don't move them, then it just becomes more and more difficult for them to glide. We just get tighter and stiffer. So even though, like, my other knee doesn't need the support of the blanket, I'm going to give it because I want to keep that symmetry in my pelvis today. So second side when you're ready. I like to walk my straight leg arm out first. See if I have my Ujjayi breathing on. When you're ready, you can add your other arm and start to reach from that inner tailbone, sit bone, perineum to the core of the pelvis on the back leg. And don't stop reaching. Like, you get to a place where you're connected to the breath and you feel the lengthening
And sometimes we kind of just go, okay, there's that. Don't stop there. Keep breathing, keep reaching, keep spreading that, keep feeling that, you know, the vigor of the practice. Yeah, that's it. Good. And just curious, just for a moment, Lise, take your long top arm and just bring it up alongside your ear for a moment. Yep. Yep. Just open yourself just a little and see if you get a little more length. Just checking it out. Great. And then let's inhale and come up. Great. Take both legs straight ahead. So you'll be in Dandasana. You can give your knees a little rub. No, you can't go out right now. You silly dog. No. All right, and if we're only sitting on one blanket, let's sit on two, because we're gonna take Baddha Konasana. So this time I'm gonna take my blankets, I'm gonna make them into the lengthwise shape. No, Diego. No, bud, no, baby. All right, so soles of the feet are toward each other, but they don't need to be completely touching. And I'm going to take my hands on my shins. I'm going to go vertical with the spine to begin. So some of us will be happy just staying in a vertical position. And some of you might want to walk your hands forward some. Bowing forward if that's in your capacity. And then what's happening, Lise, with the knees? Can you broaden at the outer knee and take up a little of the slack at the inner knee joint? Broaden between the fibula to that outer femur and tone at the inner knee. All right, and then we'll come back up. We'll take hands under the knees. Let's lift them back to center. Straighten the legs again. Give the knees a good support. All right, and then we're going to take Supta Padangusthasana. So we'll want to strap, and we're going to use either our blankets or a bolster for the outer hip. So I'll take my strap to begin, and I might have a loop in the strap. And the length of the loop depends on, the length of your hamstrings. Then you're going to come over onto your back, and I'm going to take probably 2 blankets. And these 2 blankets are going to be at kind of a 45, because once I lie down, they're going to be right under the back of that outer hip, greater trochanter. So I'll lie down. I'm going to take right leg straight and the left leg up. So I'm going to snug these blankets I'll bend my left knee. I'll just snug that support there. I won't feel it quite yet. Then I'm gonna bring my strap over my left foot. I'm gonna start with the left leg vertical. My arms are straight, and because my shoulders are relaxed, my neck is relaxed, I make the loop the size that allows my arms to be straight. So I'm not using any, I'm not bending my elbows much, maybe a tad, but that's just because my hamstrings are pretty long. The right leg, the one on the ground, I'm just gonna tone and reach, lengthen that right leg. And we'll take right arm out to the side. And exhale, start to take the left leg toward the left. As you take the left leg toward the left, can the left foot come a little closer toward the face? This is when I really want to know that that support is there under that greater trochanter so that the outer hip is supported. I can tell I'm going to probably need to go back and do this again. Let's inhale, lift the leg back to vertical. Switch right hand on the strap, left arm out to the side. And exhale, just begin to take the left leg just a little to midline and pause. Pause there so you can feel that the tissue beginning to change. The left side of the sacrum stays on the ground, even though the right leg, for some of you, might travel a little more. Don't lose the left side of the sacrum from the ground. And all of you, no bending of the knee, no micro bends to the knee. Make the legs straight. And we'll inhale back to vertical. Exhale, bend the knee. And you could either move your body to the other side or move your prop to the other side. So you're on your second side. You're going to take that, the right knee to the chest, put the strap over the right heel. You'll straighten your other leg and put a prop that finds that outer hip. Come here. All right, and then when you're ready, so you might, Katie, I don't know, that might be working for you. I have my blankets at the other angle. I don't know, I kind of have them turned, yeah, like that, and then pull it way in close to you. Yeah. And you might, one or two. All right, and so you've got one leg straight up to the sky, one leg straight out on the ground. And you're taking your lifted leg towards the right. So you feel the outer hip supported. No.
Diego's having an emergency, I guess.
You guys still breathing deep?
What the blanket support does is it allows you to keep the pelvis level without having to use a lot of effort. Do you feel that? Do you notice that? Yeah. Are you still working with your Ujjayi breath? And what is the light in your leg? How is it spreading? And then let's come back to vertical and just take it a little bit across midline. All right, and then you'll come back to center. Take the strap off. And you might just take that little blanket stack to go under your knees, or maybe you don't want it. You're gonna bring the knees to the chest, and then you're gonna come to your Shavasana. Making your Shavasana one that feels supportive.
Things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light. I I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. All light. Yeah. All light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. Yeah. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
And allowing your breath to deepen. That gentle awakening of your body to movement. Mindfully transitioning yourself to one side. And using the support of your arms to come back up to sitting. And joining your hands in front of your heart. Namaste.